Hi, welcome to yet another session for Authors Afternoon. I'm Arnab Chatterjee, I'm the General Manager for Taj Bengal, and it's most exciting to have Authors Evening at the hotel. Although there is a change in venue because the last venue we had has undergone a complete look over, and so we had lesser space there to do these kind of talk shows and evenings which we all cherish and love. Special thanks to Prabha Khaitan Foundation for partnering this initiative with us for the longest time, and we continue to do so over the period. Of course, we'll have a different avatar going forward, and this is the first one of its kind. Although we have used this hall for earlier authors as well, and I'm sure we'll have an exciting evening. Glad to have Mr. Anirban Bhattacharyya, and it's I was going through the profile, and sustainability is something which is very core to IHCL overall, and we have been doing a lot in terms of sustainability. To start with, small things which we have done is water. The bottling plant and no use of plastic, etc. At the hotel and overall across all hotels of IHCL. So this initiative which started almost 3 years back, and we have been continuing with it. And there are multiple other initiatives on sustainability which the organization is doing. So glad to have Anirban Bhattacharyya, who has a career spanning 21 years, and he's got his experience in sales, go-to-market strategy, research development, and implementation of next generation transformation programs. His reach spans across sustainability, supply chain, as I was mentioning earlier, manufacturing, industrial Internet of Things, his customer experience. After he studied, I think, at Birla Institute of Technology and Sciences, earning an MBA program from the Business School of Duke University, and he's been transforming a lot of organization in terms of sustainability risk and advisor to many CEOs over the years on sustainability. So it's a great opportunity to have Andy here, and I think Esha is going to now take us through the evening. So thanks for gracing the occasion and coming for this evening. The book which we are now talking about is Industry 5.0.
No, it was okay.
So let Esha talk about it. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Good evening and welcome after a bit of a gap.
What I was thinking about, I have to create something which should create a very quiet movement, because I've seen when in the streets of Manhattan that when a movement happens, there's not single bloodshed. As of now, I have seen that there's no bloodshed. So then I thought that this will be a great way to start penning down some of the thoughts I have, and without any bloodshed. So because once you read these stories, some people have some much more ideas or how they will interpret the story. It's left for the readers. So that's where my head was. The second thing that I was thought about, that the experiences that I'm gaining, I should pen down again when I'm meeting people from, let's say, I actually have to say this, that I've been lucky to work with Gloria Steinem, Ashley Judd, Ruchira Gupta in New York. And I have been lucky to see in-field, on-field, vulnerable women, children suffering for their identities. And I thought of penning these down and thought about various plots. So one of the things that I met somebody in Bobajar. She said about how she was raped during Durga Puja, and that's it. And once that thought came in my head, it's about a balloon full of color. When you shoot the balloon, it explodes with color. That exactly happened in my brain. So these things I started gathering, and fictionizing these stories a little bit. So it took a shape where I thought that this could be printed. So yes, the main reason was definitely to start a movement through words and pen. Definitely somewhere I'm vulnerable to write these stories as well, and somewhere I thought that maybe this could be a step one towards what's happening in the world, in India, in Calcutta. So a little bit of which also maybe it's timely.
So the characters in the book, like I said, most of them are female protagonists. They are always in this moral dilemma of the battle we all face daily in our lives. We are all trying to, walk the bridge between the right and the wrong. So how does one reconcile or resolve this in reality, in real life? And how have you done it through your book?
Absolutely. So for me, reconciliation is comfort zone, right? So maybe sometimes reconciliation is not possible, and when reconciliation is not possible, you go to a discomfort zone or uncomfortable zone. So I'll pick a story from the book. It's called The Daughter of the Night, where there's a communication between the father and the daughter is happening when the daughter is being called a prostitute, which she is not, right? So I don't know there will be a reconciliation. I will leave that on the readers, but for me, reconciliation means I'm coming to a comfort zone. So tomorrow when I am waking up, I have no more chaos, which is great. Great for your blood sugar, great for your stress relief. But for me, if there is no chaos, there's no change. So hypothetically, there should be reconciliation. There should be a way that it will be followed up with a non-chaotic environment. But I know that when I'm creating these stories, that reconciliation is always left for the audience how they interpret it, and the rest in the book is all about the conflict. Make sense?
Yes. The incidents, there are 8 varied incidents, and all dealing with societal biases, prejudices. Any of these incidents are a little personal in nature, resonate with you personally, something you've experienced, which you picked on, because they are all true life incidents, aren't they? You have fictionalized it, but the incidents are all true to life.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So every time, if you really see somebody is writing something, and I have spoken to various right-brain people who are really very creative, it generally comes somewhere from his or her or theirs experience. So for me, fundamentally, though I have been given I thought that I had given the best schooling and everything, I always saw mom, dad fighting. They've never been in the same page, which has really affected me and definitely my elder sister. And we did not realize this until I started failing in my relationships. I started failing in daily, professional, relational, personal endeavors. And I still failed in the morning today. I woke up today morning and I thought that I will have a very calm day. I have this event. And I saw my dad, who has 2 types of cancer. He is quietly smoking in the balcony, which is absolutely no-no. And I thought I would let him go, but today I couldn't let him go because India was also losing. I was upset. So I jumped on him. He jumped on me, and we had a very chaotic morning. So why I'm sharing all this is because yes, there is a vulnerability when it could have given me two paths, right? One is I should not do anything and just pass on the life's version, or I should do something to take a route where I share my own stories. I chose the latter. So yes, absolutely. I mean, every story that I've written, I found that somewhere I am there in those 8 stories.
So the journey between right and wrong. You don't know at that point of time what you're doing is right or what it's wrong at, but you just go. You also said something earlier about the distance between your head and the heart being very short. So possibly this becomes more challenging for you.
Absolutely. Running a startup, managing people with various attributes. Now I think I've semi-mastered it, but when I started in 2019, 2020, it was very chaotic. I thought I brought the right team in, then I figured out the team was not right. Then again we changed team, then we found out some brilliant people. They have their own characteristics, right? How do I coexist with them to really create the invention that I had in my head? So, but at the end, with all this chaos, with all these people, with all this struggle, I'm writing a new book. It's called The Day I Got Lucky. That's kind of a leadership memoir. It's at 10 chapters. And I'm interviewing around 3 to 4 leaders by chapter. So one of the chapter is about bad decisions make great stories. So I'm a true example of that, right? So like when I thought that decision was right, at that time I thought I made the most right decision. Either I will have headwinds, or somehow or the other decision will be wrong. And the people who are really righteous, they will pound on me saying that, how could you do this mistake? We are relying on you. Right? Then when I go to bed, I think, well, that's right. That's the reason I have made the startup. I should not do any mistakes, right? So it's always a dilemma. It's always the line between right and wrong. It's always between that chaos. But one thing I will end this answer positively, or discussion on this particular topic positively, that for me, I thrive in chaos. And if there's no chaos, I have a problem. And that's something also, when you thrive in chaos, that gives creativity. So all these problems, childhood problems, mom-dad problems, relationships, professional relationship problems, it all gives me at the end a creative juice for the Gen Zs to come in and not do those mistakes, right? So sometimes problems are good, chaos is good.
Yes, of course, chaos is good, and probably this is what makes you, this emotion of yours makes any little concern you have or any little problem you have, you said you will have to translate that as a movement. You make it into a movement. So tell me something, like your book discusses these prejudices and stigmas which we still live with today in society, very much present. So do you think the only way out is are we evolved enough or matured enough to have a discussion on it, or does there always have to be a movement to resolve this or to find answers? You know, the Arjikor incident recently in Kolkata is a case in point. So if we are not comfortable to talk about subjects like rape or homosexuality, does there have to be a movement to make people aware, to make them wake up?
So it's a fantastic question, and here's why. This movement is equal to community build, and this community build is equal to action, because all these things will really get into, I'm not saying in the first world country these rapes or corruptions are not happening. Of course it's happening, but the way to manage, somebody was asking that, okay, if you move to India after now, I was in Bangalore, so there's the person I was talking to, he said you should move to Bangalore and you will have a stellar career in Bangalore. But you know what, Andy, you may find the daily life challenging because in the US, life is so great, right? I said, no, life is not great in the US. It's very boring actually. Life is very entertaining in India. But I know what you're saying. The basic needs, I do not have to worry, because the corruption in the US is at a very surreal, subtle level. In India, corruption is everywhere. That's number one. Number two, education is a big challenge. Number three, how do you remove the parents from the taboo of not sharing that? In Bengali, I will say, right? The parents will tell that, right? So I have a problem with that, because they are thinking that dog actually is an enemy, who is a stray dog is an enemy for the kids who are running on the street. It's actually not. They are more fearful from the humans, and that's the reason they're biting. So for this, we need a movement. So we not only have to educate the children, we have to educate the parents to tell them that, boss, you need to go to your 6th grader and tell that what is sustainability. How can you reuse your clothes? Okay? How can you go and really make the right choice in pantaloon? If you see a stray dog, what's going to happen with the stray dog, right? Because you have to hit it on the root. So parental guidance, children's education, support from the leaders, because I do feel that India has the most smartest population in the world, right? But for them, they don't have time. Nobody has time. I have observed the Shambajar Panchmathar More. I was sitting there with my driver a few days back, and there's a small alley that comes out. Ideally, what should happen? There's a signal which is not for the alley, it's actually for the Panchmathar More. So everybody is going. And I don't want to be a hero in this, but I'll share, because I didn't have rush at that time. I told my driver that, Amit, let the guy from the alley go. I will go after him. Right? So that guy was waiting for almost 10 minutes. Nobody is allowing him to go because my time is the most precious thing in the world. I do not have time for others. Right? In this community, we need a movement. So I covered three main things. It's corruption, it's education, it's attitude. That things can wait, right? Anyhow, we'll get stuck in the next traffic. So wait, let the person from the alley come out and take the main road. He's also in a Yamaha bike, by the way. He's not in a rickshaw or something. So type of things, I know he will go out and speed, and he did that, right? So the thing is, we need movement for a situation like this. For a situation like RG Kaur, I realized that I'm apolitical in a sense that I have opinions, but it really hurts me that how this is possible when we take pride of Calcutta. So it's for this, it's not about the person who has libido problem or not, or he has been fed to run his family for the rest of the life, but it's about the movement, that it's about the education that's removing the corruption from the root. And therefore that we need the 20% of the people, I'm not expecting 100% by the way, 20% of the people need to stand up and say that the remaining 80%, please follow me. Like Moses, right? So I don't want that everybody to be a leader, not required. We need followers, and who want to be the next Moses is very important.
So you mentioned education. So herein one of your stories talks about the education system which we have currently in India. It's very, like you say, we just ratify everything and that's it. As long as you pass the exam, you're educated. And you have mentioned elsewhere about the experiential way of education, like where is the hands-on approach, and this entire thing which you said, where we require a movement to get through to the people. If our education system took a relook at the way we are teaching our children and the future generations, maybe so much of a movement would not be required, because the person coming out of those schools and colleges would already have that little bit of awareness that no, it's not just about passing an exam and calling myself literate or educated. There are other things which education encompasses, right? So what do you think about our my question being, what do you think about our education system in India? We produce bright minds, we have brilliant individuals coming out of all our institutions, but don't you think it's time for a sea change?
Absolutely. So I will give an example here. I was speaking in Nirma University a few weeks back, and one of the students came to me and asked me a question that, hey, I want to be part of your startup in sustainability, and what do I have to do? Then I said, you have to crack 7 rounds of exam and 3 rounds of interview to get into. And she took it seriously. And I said, nothing. I will give you a test. I'll give you a case study. You just have to tell me what's your approach. You don't have to mathematically solve, because we take the pride to be great mathematicians in India, right? So then she was laughing and said that that's great because I could not get into the IIMs, but I'm very happy in Nirma University that I don't have to sit for exams. And most of the things that Mr. Patel is bringing, was the founder of Nirma, one of the founders of Nirma University, is application-based education. So the gift, the prodigy that I talked about in the book is about how can we break the cartel, it's a cartel, of coaching centers and education and bring an application-based education. So when a guy, so there's a tendency when I was a kid, I was in St. Lawrence, so some of my folks, which I didn't have that acumen at that time, were sitting for an exam called SAT to go to abroad for undergrad. So I went home. I told my dad, you know what, Dad, Mom, some of my friends are giving SAT. Then my dad said, my mom was quiet because I always found mom a little more mature than my dad. My dad said, "Are you a faltu? We're going to পরীক্ষা নাকি? আরে joint পাবি, IIT পাবি, rank করবি." Oh, okay. And I got convinced. I got back into the rat race. So I was sitting in my office in New Jersey. I get a text. One of my St. Laurentian undergrad went to University of Buffalo, New York. He's a partner in McKinsey right now.
No.
He comes and says, so I have a sweet nickname always. It's called Andy Bhai, like somebody beloved brother, but very global. So this Laurentian comes and sits across me, and he was having a coffee and said, "Arey Andy, you're doing great." Then I said, his name is Shito Shokti. Shito Shokti is a very Bengali name. So I said, Shito Shokti, I don't think, when I see your LinkedIn, I feel so like unaccomplished. Then he said, no, you're thinking that I'm in McKinsey. You don't have to be, if you're in McKinsey, you cannot create a movement. You have to follow. So what you have done is right not to get into, I started my career with Quantum Black, which finally acquired by McKinsey, but the message that I got from the table is that you do not need to be a part of McKinsey. You do not need to be a part of that education system in West Bengal. My dad moved me from Pune to Calcutta just to make me a Bengali. And my dad said that, এই CBSE ICSE তে কিচ্ছু হবে না, West Bengal বোর্ডের বই পড়তে হবে, right? So when I look all these books now and I'm talking to all these students, and I do not see any course in sustainability, which I want to work in Calcutta to bring application-based education for sustainability. So there's no course like that, right? So then I am talking, today morning I had a friend, known connect from South Point. He actually was in McKinsey, he left now. He said, Andy, we need to bring this application-based education. And he brought the story because he read my book. He said, you saw the prodigy in Purulia was doing math. I want to have that here. Then I said, look, I started the movement. You please implement. I have a team in Kolkata who will help you. And a couple of them are sitting here in the first row or second row, right? So the message I want to pass is you have to start somewhere. You build a brick, another brick, and sometimes movement needs bloodshed. But I will be very idealistic and very happy if there's no bloodshed, and I go to Novanno and say in 2026 that, you know what, I'm just taking some names here, and it doesn't need to be, please don't quote me on this. Khaitan Foundation and Amplo Global and this and that have found an education system which has impacted 79,000 parents in West Bengal, which will help 40,000 kids for capacity building. That's how it should be. Ke joint pelo ke pelona is not a big deal. Because at the end of the day, DNA matters, brilliance matters. But brilliance without communication, brilliance without expression is no use. So application-based education is a must in West Bengal and India. If we can do some of these things and remove some of the science-based exams in joint and IIT, I'm not demeaning their brilliance, but that's where the movement should happen. Because when you go to West, there's a tendency. My dad said to me that, "Arey Weste বাচ্চাদের কোনো স্কুল বাজে, মাস্টার্স করতে যাবি," right? Means master থেকে খুব ভালো. But when I'm there, one of my niece in Los Angeles, and also somebody who lives very close to my house in Hartford, Connecticut, both of them are very fond of me because they find, generation gaps. They can talk about virginity, they can talk about puberty, they can talk about everything with me, right? So this lady from Los Angeles texts me one day that, Andy, I have a problem in calculus. Can you check? Baba পারছে না. আমার বাবা ওর বাবা means my cousin brother. ঠিক আছে, আমি দেখলাম, দেখে বলছি যে, আরে আমি তো বুঝতে পারছি না এটা. Then I asked her, which class this is for, which grade. So I'm in the 10th grade, this is a AP course, advanced program course. Then I contacted someone in West Bengal. I said that, which book is this? Then the person responded back, this is BS Grewal in third year engineering. So innovation with application-based education, with some books where we have to go. And that's how we have to hit at the foundation. So that's where my first pen on that is Prodigy is about how that's gonna happen.
But the story also ends, not ends, it ends happily, but midway when they did come into those blocks, because we've all gotten to this comfort zone that the system is working, let it go, you know. There is no one who's actually wanting to take that step and say, hopefully you, with all your ideas, who's going to say, okay, no, things need to change. So let's hope for the best. So you mentioned your parents a lot, and your father, and it's obvious you didn't have a very easy relationship. Very few sons and fathers have easy relationships, I'm guessing. So what were your early years like? What was your life like? Take us through a bit of your life here in India before you moved west.
That life was just a black box. এইভাবেই হয়, right? বিয়ের আগে বাচ্চা হয় না, বিয়ের পরেই বাচ্চা হয়, right? So এই কোয়েশ্চেনটা খুব ট্যাবু ছিল আমার কাছে। মাকে আমি জিজ্ঞাসা করেছিলাম, in Bengali I'm talking. So mom, why somebody cannot get pregnant before marriage, before wedding? আরে বাবা চলে আসবে, প্রশ্নটা করিস না, right? তোকে পরে বলবো types, right? So black box. So then grew up with friends. Some friends who went abroad. I went with an Indian engineering school, and then in engineering school, which is also India, right? My thoughts start changing, and then I figured out that everyone's mom is the best, because till undergrad, till 12th grade, I thought my mom is the best. When I went for engineering, then I thought that then everybody talking and lots of people, lots of culture divides and everything, and everybody's talking very highly about their mom. And suddenly we said, whose mom is the best? Then I realized that for every son or daughter, their mom is the best, right? So I'm just thinking, oh, okay. So when my mom shouts at me that, what have I done for you? You should not forget, and you should like this and that, right? Great. So one day I asked my mom that, Mom, do you love me? Then, yes, I love you very much. Then I asked my mom, would you love that person on the street? She's not from your womb. So never tell me that you love unconditionally. Never tell me that. Right? So a mix of black box, mix of questions, mix of torture in the head. Intelligence was not an issue, but my issue was emotion. So I feel that if I had the emotional quotient more better when I was in India, I could have done better. Because intelligent quotient was high, emotional quotient for me was very low. I realized through my work, through my startup, that I need to handle it better. So for my stay in India, it was always a black box. Very limited questions to my mom, not to my sister, not to my dad, and that's how it ended. Undergrad, then I left. Once I left to the West, though I did not have a cultural shock, there also I felt that how can I respond back at some point of time in my life to give back the brain drain that we are doing. So yeah, in India it was always a black box. But once I got the freedom to go to an engineering school and abroad, I started thinking differently, because the foundation was built then and there with my mom, dad and sister that I do not want to think like them, because I was so angry with myself with seeing my mom, dad fighting, lack of compatibility. My sister was very scared of my dad, and the rules that he was building in the house, that there's a lot of anger that was there within me. And now as days are passing by, I'm trying to work on my own anger management, but now I actually know the root cause. It's very important to know the root cause, right? That why I get angry with the situations, why I'm so vulnerable when somebody is saying that I don't love you, right? It's okay. You can say that I don't love me, that's okay. I don't have to be loved by everyone, right? Those fundamentals from the black box to a non-black box, I'm going. So life should not be a black box.
So does that atmosphere at home, because what you've just described, I think I can straight away think of 10 households which are so similar. It is very similar. It's not just this one-off case that I'm hearing. It's always the father, because like I mentioned earlier, patriarchy is so steeped into our society even now, that the father is always to be feared. The mother is the one who's compassionate, should be always more understanding and indulgent. And children are still growing up in this kind of an atmosphere. But tell me something, does this, like you said it does, you take that with you to a much older age, does that impact your other relationships? Like you mentioned earlier, any of your, if you wanted to have a relationship with another woman, man, or the friends, does that somehow, that kind of gets ingrained in you? Has that ever affected your other relationships?
For me, I think the biggest gift from the chaos that I got is detachment. So I love someone, I really love someone, but if she or he says, please exit, I will be definitely bothered, because I have given an energy to that feeling, to that whole relationship. But will that stop me to think of the bigger dreams? Absolutely not. So I'm in a situation in life where love is important, but love without value is not important, right? So I have to have, where I say that work and love have to confluence, it should merge. Love is maybe equal to work equal to love. Somebody I'm loving should appreciate my passion and my madness. So it's something that I feel very honestly, that for me, love is not in the bell curve anymore. Love for me is not about very romantic, which I was, by the way. I fell in love with somebody in undergrad. She was a South Indian, and I thought that I will be never able to love anyone. But I have loved. I still want to love, right? But thing is, those loves of high quotient of romanticism, I feel those are gone from me. But it doesn't mean I'm not fundamentally I'm that person, very rooted. But for my relationships, love is something which is reformed, which is something that I can create an impact, I can create a value. 1 + 1, 2 equal to more power, push the change. And somebody's expecting that I will come at 7 p.m. after work and have a very patriarchal dinner. I'm not person. So hopefully it makes sense.
Yes. Okay, so now after all this, what's next? What is now in the future course of events? What is happening next in your life? Tell us something about it. Whatever's allowed, whatever you're allowed to tell us, you can tell us. I know there's some things you'd still have to be a bit discreet about, but that's okay.
So the question is very broad, but I will segregate into 4 buckets. The first bucket is I'm writing 3 books right now. So one book is about leadership, where I just talked about a little bit. I'm interviewing a few leaders. It's 10 chapters, 10 psychological things. So I'm big into psychology. Though I haven't not any degree in psychology, but I'm reading a lot of cognitive science behind it. So 10 chapters talking about the day I got lucky. It's like, so I'm never a fan of Sachin Tendulkar. I'm always a fan of MS Dhoni, because what Dhoni has shown as a cricketer in the world is, to me, it's a practice. Sachin exactly knows how to play a ball which is outswinging, and he exactly knows. Now Dhoni also knows, but Dhoni has practiced that. So for me, somebody who practices, I'm a fan of that person. I'm not disrespecting Sachin, don't get me wrong. And if he hears this, he should not get upset. So I think he's a leader that whom should follow, his calmness in the field. But I'm still a strong follower of Dhoni, right? So that's something. So he said something in the interview that I heard his interview one day. So he's referring Shah Rukh Khan. So Shah Rukh Khan once told Dhoni that when I came to the film industry, he was not as good looking like Amitabh Bachchan. He was not a netizen. Okay, he's not a film family citizen, whatever you call it, right? He came from outside, and he was very vulnerable before he got his first offer in Circus series that came out in early 90s. So every day he used to wake up and he used to say this, but I say differently. But I will tell what I say. I'm the best, and I will deliver. Till the time he got the contract from Circus. What I say that it's okay not to be the best. The stats can be all against me, but I'm going to deliver. So for me, this book, Leadership, where the day I got lucky, is about you will be lucky when you're prepared, unless you have headwinds like COVID and other things in the industry. The second book that I'm writing is about a satire. Here comes a man in the universe, in the conscious mind, and he can travel to subconsciousness, to superconsciousness and supraconsciousness, and how he satirically finishes all his homework in one life, and he defies Hinduism, that he doesn't need to reborn. It's a satire. And the third one that I'm writing is about, it's called Monogamy is Mahogany. Mahogany is a wood. So when you polish it, it looks beautiful, but it's hard, right? It's a finished product. So I talk about 4 situations why monogamy is a myth. So because I believe monogamy is a myth, right? So because every relationship has an expiry date, and how you renew it is very important, right? Either you choose a different partner, or you come out, or you continue with the same partner and you renew the expiry date. So yeah, this is something I'm writing. Of course, I want to create this whole non-profit. I've made some connections in this trip. I'm going to share more with all of you who are in the foundation as I get a chance to speak to all of you. So that will be continued. I'm also building a capacity building with all my sessions in Indian School of Business in Hyderabad, where I'm a visiting faculty. So I'm working with Ashoka University's founder, member right now, and Aditya Birla Fashion Retail Limited to teach, to coach around 100,000 parents to build capacity. Parents, not students, parents. So that will go on. So lecturing, movement around capacity build, writing, non-profit will be going on. I might come out of the startup, which I'm thinking to sell the startup. I don't know yet. We are not doing well. Hopefully we will do well early next week. So it comes out, that will be true. So that's a new year next week. So next year. So let's see. I have to make sure all the 15-20 people I'm working with, we have a consensus. Either we grow organically or we sell to a company, mid-market company. So that's something. First couple of quarters of the first half of the year will go like that. So second half of the year would be mainly, let's see, to solidify my life 3.0.
So you are very passionate about creating positive impact for the future generations and for communities. So is this how you balance your past and your present? Is this what you just told us? Is this your way of balancing the two? Past being all your work that you've done with Amplo Global, working towards sustainability in climate risk management, and right now what you're more passionate about is your education, your writing of books, scripts also, I believe.
So I find myself extremely lucky in a way that there's some cohorts of mine, though I will have a very bad day with them, him or her or they will not leave me. I have that confidence on a few people. So who will not leave me. With that confidence, whatever learning I have from my 1.0, which was corporate, 2.0 was entrepreneurship and is entrepreneurship, is about how do I make sure that I find the root cause and solve it. So I don't want to do sustainability, climate risk. Khaitan Foundation supports around 13 of the 17 goals in UN SDG. That's great, but to make that happen and established as a hair on fire problem, we have to inculcate some movement for have a sustainable value chain. And that's a better company like Aditya Birla Fashion, better education system, how to handle corruptions, how to handle trafficking. All these will really build the sustainable future. I think the past that you're talking about and the present that you're talking about, I'm very lucky at this situation where I actually, hopefully, I will have time to implement. So that's where my head is.
Okay. So I think we can open up now for a few questions from the audience. If there's anybody who has anything to say, ask.
That actually the parents need to be educated. So when it comes to career counseling, we parents go to career counselors, okay, but end of the day, our kids, they don't feel like studying what they have suggested or what we have suggested. Like, we again go back to the rat race. So can you give a little bit of light that how we can do this through school or through some studies or through some movement or maybe some workshop? You have any idea in your mind, maybe from your life stories?
Sure. So first of all, the first fundamental change that we have to bring as parents is আমি শুধু আমার ছেলের জন্য বা মেয়ের জন্য ভাববো, রাইট? আমি ক্যারিয়ার কাউন্সিলিংয়ে যাচ্ছি, আমার মেয়ে লেডি ব্রেগন থেকে যদি বেচপেলানি পেয়ে যায়, আমার শান্তি বাবা, রাইট? This thing has to change, where you have to create a cohort, which I call Draupadi. Does Draupadi have 5 husbands? No. Draupadi has 1 husband. She has 5 characters of 5 husbands to create 1 husband. I want you to get 5 daughters of yours. I don't know if you have daughters or sons, but do you have kids?
Sons.
1? 2. How about 3 more? You create a cohort of 5 and call them your kids. Start that movement for me. And tell and see that all of them has unique capabilities. And you will find that aha moment of Tare Zameen Par.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So don't think your 2 kids as it's absolutely his responsibility, your 2 kids, to make them a good citizen. যাতে ওরা গালি ফালি না দেয়, রাইট? তো কিন্তু দিলে কিন্তু বাজে সে লোক নয়, আমিও গালি দিই, রাইট? তো ব্যাপারটা হচ্ছে যে it is very important to blur the boundary and call others your kids and see the change. Very fundamental. Right.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Good evening. Well, this is not a question. This is just a suggestion. You just mentioned your father is a cancer survivor or a patient, and he loves to smoke, and you saw him smoking. I just want to tell you this, that when a person has cancer, for him, whatever treatment is given, whatever he's going through, is something, first of all, comes in his mind is that I don't want to be a burden on my family. Right? He's thinking about his children, maybe you or your sister. So that solace he gets from taking a smoke, which he smoked all his life. I'm not advocating cigarette smoking, no. But the current situation, that puff he takes, that is something which releases a kind of satisfaction or a feeling of something he can hold on to. So you would just tell him, Dad, you're having a smoke, no problem. Take a puff or 2 and then snub it off. Believe you me on this. It will work on his mind that today my son is with me and he's my support. I don't need this. Give it a try.
So that's so lovely and so nice of you. So I want to answer in a way that, how many minutes we have? We have some minutes? Okay. So in 2021, he had his first major surgery in cancer. So he comes out of the bed, lies down. I ask my dad, Baba, kemon acho? Are you a Bengali?
No, I'm not a Bengali, but I'm born, bred, married in Kolkata.
So Bangla bojo?
And you can see with my sweater, Kolkata.
Oh, so you get it.
You see?
So when Baba said, I asked my Baba, Baba, kemon acho? Bolo, আমি ভালো আছি. There's nothing wrong in it. Unlike you, at the bed in Medica, right? And there was a few nurses looking after him, and the doctor is standing, who is my Laurentian classmate. And he says to, looking at him, look at my son. At 41, 42, he has no women, no money, no career. Then Gaurav, his name is Gaurav, said, अरे अंकल आज तो छोड़ दीजिए एंडी को, कैसे आपको बचा के लेके आए? इन्होंने नहीं बचाया, रामकृष्ण बचाया, right? So I'm sharing this example. For him, I'm a loser. For him, I'm a loser. For him, his daughter, his wife has somewhat listened to him. Because my sister has 3 kids, 1 husband, right? So they are successful. My mom is married to him, hasn't left the battlefield. She's married to him.
Yeah, so she's endured him also.
Yeah, so 2014 she gave up. For me, in 90s, he would tell me, আমি কিন্তু দেখতে চাই বিকেল 5টার মধ্যে বাড়িতে ঢোকা পুজোর সময়, right? Then I said, okay Baba, I will try. Then all friends and some of my friends are in the audience as well. So আমরা সবাই বেড়াবো, বেরিয়ে আমরা ঠিক আমি ইচ্ছে করে দেরি করে ফিরবো, and he will explode, right? It is not about that he doesn't love me, he wants to win, right? So today morning, so this entire trip he's smoking, and I told my ma that Baba still smokes, so when you go home, my ma has Parkinson's, so I brought her home on December 13th. So Baba will smoke, but I want you to tell him that please don't smoke, right? Please be a little bit of a rebel. So what happened is that jail-free card I always give him. I love him. I don't respect him, but I love him, right? So I will do the best as a responsibility that I will be doing for him. But the revelation that you're talking about, it's about moksha, right? That where you accept that he smokes, allow him to puff, don't be an egotistical son that because you spent 60 lakhs behind him in the last 6 years, don't bring that up, otherwise all your doings are failure, right? And I didn't say anything. I said, Dad, I request you to do 2 things. A, you go downstairs and smoke, because my mom is a Parkinson's patient. And second, you do not call Sunilda from downstairs and ask him to get the milk. You better go downstairs and get the milk, right? And he's still smoking. So, but he didn't listen, because he knows that I'm against him. I'm the most bad son that he can ever produce, right? So then I'm also thinking that who will leave first the universe, me or him? Most likely him, most likely, unless I leave before. So most likely he will leave, hypothesis. Then I'm thinking, is it very important for me to win this argument at 7:20 a.m. in the morning when I have an event in the evening? Then I said 7:20. So the nurse came in for my mom, and she suddenly becomes a referee to stop between me and my dad, right? Are Anindita ki korcho chitkar korbo na types, right? Kintu it's very important that it's a very subtlety I will share. I want to be the bad cop, because I have took the burden of that 60 lakhs in my head when that 60 lakhs could have transformed my startup, right? I requested him that, Dad, I will take care of you, but please take care of yourself too, and God will help, right? But he didn't listen. So today, it's not about the 60 lakhs or who has to win. It's about that basic respect that আমার ছেলে যা করেছে জীবনটাকে বরবাদ করে দিয়েছে, কিন্তু আমি ওকে এটা বলবো না বারবার. He pounds on me one time, he gets a chance. With his dementia and cancer, he pounds on me that how much loser I am. So the environment you're giving me is so solid. It is my maturity to be a super conscious human being, which I may be. I have a journey still left. I thought I was there super consciously, but once I flipped today, I told myself, no, I'm still a human being. So it's been a very toxic relationship, but I'm letting him go. I'm actually, to give you some solace, when you walk out of this room, I'm surrendering to you and saying that I'm surrendering to my dad every time I'm leaving Kolkata to New York. My sister gives a damn. Then I asked my sister, how could you do this with your dad? Because she tells me the first man I hate is my dad. So we are completely a broken family. But I don't respect him, but I love him, and I still want to do for him. So the solution that you're giving is solid. I will implement. Maybe I will remove my ego and not think about my 60 lakhs. And from today, maybe my life 3.0 starts. Okay.
One question. One question, one comment. So many comments are coming to my mind.
Sure.
That we will share it private. So the first question I want to ask you, you just shared with us that you are organizing workshop with 1,000 parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is there any plan to assess the impact through administering any study in terms of assessing their behavior change, attitude change, or any time in terms of change of parenting style? Is there any plan? So I'd love to, please share it.
Why don't you introduce yourself or just tell over what you have done. Just tell the audience.
So I'm Shoma. I'm working in development sector since 2007. I've worked on HIV, gender, sexuality, child rights, child sexual abuse, adolescent issues, mental health, etc. And a few years back, I got introduced with Anirban through another initiative. In that initiative, we both were there. And later on, we gradually built a very good and strong bond over our friendship. And I started contributing in his initiative, Amplo Global, CSR for profit, not for non-profit. And I tried to bring some organization under Amplo Global CSR umbrella. So as I am in this sector since more than 15 years, always there are certain requests from several people who want to start their initiatives. So I generally talk to them, pick and choose, and then refer those initiatives to Andy and the team, so that they can assess and they can take the final decision whether they can contribute in terms of global umbrella from or not. So this is.
Thank you so much. So I'll answer your question first. That did you want to make a comment also? You said, or should I answer the question first?
Comment next.
Okay. So when we are thinking about this, I'm thinking to bring the gentleman I met today morning, Ashoka University and Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, to drive an assessment program first. So our CSR, Amplo Global CSR is run, she's in the audience also, she runs by Sadakshina. I'm just sharing with everyone, and we have a very high quality advisory consultant, Shohali, she's also in the audience. So they both are advising, Sadakshina is kind of masterminding, Shohali is advising us to drive these kinds of movements. To answer your question first is, we will do a benchmarking program first. which will give what the outcomes will look like. So let's say we do this for 3 months between Yancha, this group from McKinsey, it's called Yancha Group. It's a Japanese word for reform. So Yancha Group, Aditya Birla Fashion Retail Limited and Ashoka University will do a benchmarking program to drive the certain KPIs between parents and kids. And we'll see that what the KPIs are really telling us to do. Go to Navanno and create a reform in the education center, or while that cartel is going on, I say cartel is going on, you push some of these changes slowly. Most likely we'll do the latter. So to answer your question, that we have a plan that we have to drive in January. It's very fresh as of today, but I have planted the seed in this trip in Bangalore with Aditya Birla Fashion and with Ashoka University. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And my next is my comment that to me, love without respect is nothing.
For me, I have able to separate.
Thank you. So what I actually thinking while you were sharing your relationship with dad, that you were coming back with, you were serving your dad from a sense of responsibility. It's not out of love.
Yeah, no, I love him. I will be, so when my dad, if I'm there to see my dad passing away, that day I will be very upset. But that upset is not coming from that he's no more. The upset, the situation that I'm going to be upset because he could have done a better job. Right? That's all.
Okay.
Well, he got chances. Yeah, go ahead.
But you're so successful today. It's all
Me?
because of that. He was the thing behind you.
No, they have done a very...
You came for yourself and you
No,
got it.
look, they have done a very homogeneous sex. I popped out, right? So that's all great, right? So I popped out. I was under his radar till grade 12. Once I left, আমি লাগাম ছাড়া বড় হয়ে গেছি, right? So I get your point. I'm here because of them.
No, you are successful.
No, I'm not successful yet. I'm not successful yet. I absolutely will tell you that for me, success is not about what are you achieving. Success is when you're going to bed, you really have a high quotient of impact. And that's the reason, I mean, of course, I don't know how many people will pick up the book. That's a very, very maybe 2-5% of impact. But execution against the movement, when we can measure, is then I will feel successful. But yes, I'm here. I'm here because of them. I'm very respectful to the situation, right? But I also feel that, yes, there's a sense of responsibility, there's a sense of love, and which I hated from my mom and dad is that they have taken me for granted. So that's where I think I will, I know you both are pushing me a little bit, but I like that, but I will push back on that a little bit.
So my second comment is that parenting is really a thankless job, Anirban. And and raising children is the toughest job in this world. So you know that I've raised a 22-year-old son, and being in this sector, development sector, since last more than 14 years, I tried to bring him up in a very separate in a very different style. There are also flip side of that style, that new style you just trying to preach, okay? So when we were sharing, I was thinking that I followed this path, but also that path has several challenges and
Of course, any changes, can we go for a couple of minutes? Is that okay? Sorry about that, I know it's 5:30. So let me address that, right? And again, it's something that what I feel when we leave, we should all be knowing each other's thoughts. So for me, it's very important to realize that, and I felt that parenthood is not easy. It's bringing up kids very, very difficult, right? But do you believe, I'm asking you specifically, that you have a value system where your son carries the same value system or different?
no.
Different value system?
Yes, not at all possible. The core could be similar, but it was not not my expectation that he will follow my
So will you
path.
say to your son that he's a kulangar?
No.
My dad said to me.
It's his
Exactly.
life.
So let me, so kulangar is a Bengali word which means you're a piece of shit, right? So, so I know you're following the books here, and believe me, I'm a very, very respectful towards the book. I know what my mom needs of medicine at 5:20 p.m. Her medicine will exactly be there so that she can live on the earth for 5 more years. So that gravitas, that fundamental things are very much there. But I come from a broken family. I'm not saying they haven't done a good job, right? They have done a good job, absolutely. But I stopped asking them questions after 7th grade because I knew that my book and their book are not matching at 7th grade. It was not matching, right? So yes, I absolutely respect the parents and everything. There's a respect of why they're existing, but I feel that when I'm in a relationship, right, and it's not matching to my dad's consent, he should actually control a little bit and do not like demean the person who came home who actually loves me. He did not. He bullied her. I'm a heterogeneous person. I'm not a gay, so I'm saying her in this case. I'm a straight man. So, and I have lots of LGBTQ queer friends as well in India and US. So he behaved massively badly. She went back to the States with me and said, and by the way, all the 4 women I have dated in my life before I would say Amplo Global started in 2019, all of them have a one sentence in common. Andy, তুই না খুব ভালো ছেলে জানিস তো, বাট তুই কিন্তু হ্যান্ডেল করতে পারবি না। Then I think about my parents, আমাকে কি মানুষ করলো যে আমি একটা রিলেশনশিপ হ্যান্ডেল করতে পারছি না। Then they will tell me that, look, you love your parents too much. What will happen is you will become a sandwich. And next time when you are born, আমাকে একজন বলছেন whom I was dating, just be a daughter, don't be a son. So ওর মাথায় ইন্ডিয়া এখনো patriarchal, ছেলে হওয়া জন্মানো কত খারাপ সেটা আমার পার্টনার তখন মানে যাকে আমি ডেট করছি সে আমায় বলছে যে don't be a son, be a daughter, right? So that's what it is basically. So anyway, as I said, I come from a broken family. I'm very vulnerable in sharing this. I think there is a lack of consensus in the audience, and I respect that. But I'll just end here.
I would like to. Hi, this is Mehdi. I would like to say something. I think the lack of consensus comes from the part that I guess we are having a lot of parents over here, less of children from our age. I somehow relate to you what you're talking about. So I think in our society, we always think and assume that every parent they are always right. Yeah. We expect our parents to be right, and the parents, they think they're always right about their children. And respect, I believe, has to be earned. We don't choose our parents. Parenthood must be tough, but parenthood is also a choice. Ma'am, with respect to you, we don't choose our parents or when do we come to the earth, but our parents do have a choice, right? And respect has to be earned, I believe. So yes, I have my gratitude towards you that you brought me to this earth, on this earth, but then I love you for that. I have my gratitude, but if I have to respect you unconditionally, that has to be earned. And parents can be wrong too. Yes. Not every parent has to be right. Parents are not God. They cannot be right. They're human beings. They can be wrong. And I think the very problem lies in the society that from our very childhood, every parent, because that is how we have been brought up, that yes, once I become a parent, I'll have to be right in every way. For my child, you cannot be. You cannot be because you are not the child. For him or her, things can be different. your relationship as he went through, your relationship, we all, as parents, I believe they think that we might be having a broken relationship, but আমরা তোমাদেরকে কি দিইনি? But your problem, your issues with your partner is something that your child has also experienced, they have seen. So if you cannot love your partner unconditionally and trust them, have faith in them, what happens is that when your child grows up, he or she cannot trust or have faith in their partner as well. It affects. As you have been telling for all these while that you have come from a broken family, I believe a lot of us come from a broken family in some way or the other. Some have parental issues, some have maybe issues with their siblings or things like that. But at the end of the day, parents are not always correct. That is something I believe all the children and the parents also has to accept. Anindita, with your program, can we expect this to be, instilled in the thousands of parents you're talking about? Can we instill inside them that you can be wrong too, and listen to your children? Listen to what they are going through and why they want something which you think is not correct. Instead of scolding them, instead of telling them you're wrong and you cannot do this, let's try and sit and understand their side and understand them, and then make ourselves understand, make the parents understand themselves to the children as well, why they think it is wrong. Why can't we sit and evaluate? Why is it there? Why there is always this thing, I am the mother or I am the father and I am right. I have seen the world more than you have. What do you know? But I'm sorry, your world back in the 80s or 90s are not the same now. The worlds are not same anymore. My world is different. My challenges are different. Listen to me as a parent. Listen to your kid, what the world is like now, and then come to a point. Because again, I will differ in that as well. Parenthood is a very thankless job. I heard right now. But then I guess every child, we always like in the times of social media, you will always find your children posting. You will find maybe on special occasions, but you will find them thanking their parents all the time. That, I love you so much and thank you for bringing me. How many times do parents do that? I'm so thankful for having my child in my life. Because children are also having good impact in your lives, right? It's not the one way around. So can we have these things in your program as well?
Sure. Do you want to speak a little bit? I think you're good. I think your lack of consensus of the body language is very high. So that's okay. And it's with love and respect. Well articulated, Mehdi. So I know you personally also. So yeah, just I want to accept apology. I've heard anyone, but believe me, I'm a strong believer in diversity, equity, inclusion. If you come to my website, come to the work that we do, everything, I will be one of the first person who will be driving equality and equity. So I have a good intention, what I'm doing, but very few people like you shied out to talk about vulnerability, right? So
okay,
that's
I'll
it.
take the mic.
Thank you. I just did it purposely.
Well, I am in education. So once, you'll have to give me 2 minutes.
Please do.
So I taught in Calcutta, incidentally. And then Esha knows that we started our own colleges, etc., schools. This same thing came to me that since it was kind of collegiate school, all parents came to us and said that, please give her science in 11, 12. We started counseling this, that. I understand your emotions. So we did a small little study. So before the boards, we took about 15 children in a room and their parents in another room. Okay? Ask the parents, do you have adda with your children? When last did you have adda? Conversation. না ওকে কথা বলে কি হবে, হ্যাঁ হুম এর বাইরে তো কোনো উত্তর দেয় না, সারাক্ষণ মোবাইল দেখে। Ask the children. কোনদিন বাবা মার সঙ্গে একটুখানি গল্প একটা বললো হ্যাঁ সিনেমা দেখতে যাই সঙ্গে ওকে ফাইন একটু গল্প করলেই তো বলবে এটা তো ফিউচারে তো তুমি সায়েন্সই নাও না তুমি তো স্কুলেই পড়ো তো কলেজেও পড়বে ওরা নিয়ে নেবে ওদের ছেলে মেয়ে এক্সেপ্ট খালি ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিংয়ে পড়তে হবে সো দ্যাট ডে ইনফ্যাক্ট বোথ মাই হাজব্যান্ড অ্যান্ড মি উই হ্যাড quit our jobs and we started this about 24 years back and this story is about 12-13 years back. We said, আমরা কি করছি? What are we doing? Nothing. And then we started the media school. Okay? কি ভালো লাগে? ছবি আঁকতে ভালো লাগে। কিরকম ধরনের ছবি আঁকো? জানি না। কেন মিডিয়া পড়বে? Why would you come to media studies? ফটো তুলতে ভালো লাগে। এক রকমের ফটো। কোন বই পড়েছো? জানি না। So why are you studying media? Underline, maths ভালো লাগে না, অঙ্ক বুঝতে পারি না। So it is out of যে ওটা করবো না, therefore এটা। You know, then we started thinking, we brought in, photographers and others and said, ঠিক আছে, একটা subject, you study a subject, go on. So what is very, very important is conversation. If you call it counseling, whatever it is, but all of us have to think. In fact, I went to Delhi, spoke to CBSE about this, told them we kind of put it on paper because that was my forte. So CBSE incidentally, I'm not saying because of this experiment, but nowadays, if a child wants to do a project on sustainability, on arts, on let's say Kolkata museums or whatever, for his boards, he can do that, he or she can do that and get credit for it. These are small changes, not radical changes, but small changes. But I have all my respect and whatever little I can do, I'm sure to do it. I believe in what you're saying. But then, I understand the spirits of emotions, but even children have to feel.
100%.
Just very quickly, just to end this, I just want to say something which is coming through in all of this. I have a son who's the same age as her daughter, and I hear this so often because, like I told you, they're an outspoken generation. They speak out when they say something. I will call you out every time I think you're wrong. He tells me to my face, he tells it to his father, so there is always this conflict and there is always tension. He's having a fight with his grandmother every day, and my mother-in-law is equally outspoken. The thing here is control. We as parents just love control, and because he reminds me of it, he's saying, "Ma, stop controlling, you're controlling again." I step back and I think back and I say, yes, I am controlling. I am trying to force my son to do a certain whatever in my way. If he rebels or he wants to do it differently, I feel he's insulted me or disrespected me, whereas that's not true. It's basically I've lost control, and we as parents all have to lose that control. Once they are adults, you just have to let them make their mistakes.
And
let water finds its own level. Let them figure it out for themselves. So now I'm very late. I've realized that, and I think, chalo, you go, you make a mistake, don't come running back to me. You resolve it, you solve it. You don't want me to control, fine, I won't. So I think it's more, and it's I think very more in Bengali parents. I think we love this control that the minute we think we're losing it, the child becomes bad, because then they are disobedient, then they are becoming rebels, whatever.
Even by listening to everything, they can be rebels.
They are rebels. There is no two ways.
One is, I always say that culture of conversation in the family is the solution of any and every problem. Number one. Number two, our parenting is all about power, authority and control. And the crux of child sexual abuse comes from this power, authority and control. So, and in every session I want to share this sentence. লোকজন একটু ভয় পায় এটা শুনলে। I always say that family is not sacrosanct because family is the root cause of every problem. So this is my last comment because I don't want to indulge into more and more comments. And
this would have been a longer session.
Yeah.
Good debate.
Please invite me.
It's an amazing session, and this is a never-ending debate, conversation, exchange of ideas, exchange of statements, conversations. I think never-ending because, as somebody mentioned, we all are parents, and we are all going through different kinds of experiences in life, and some of us, of course, agree with what Andy is saying. Some of us, of course, not agree with what he's saying, but whatever. Thank you so much, Andy. Thank you so much. Thank you, Esha, for all this with us. On behalf of the foundation and Taj Bengal, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you and Esha for such a fascinating conversation. Thanks to the wonderful audience, of course. I mean, that goes without saying. Now, as you all know, the foundation promotes cross-state cultural understanding and appreciation to foster unity and appreciation of the rich cultural heritage across India's diverse states. Today, we are pleased to felicitate the author with a giveaway made in the beautiful Dokra of Bengal. Dokra, a non-ferrous metal, is beautifully molded by artisans to craft artifacts, accessories, utensils and jewelry. Parallel to the name Dokra Damar tribe of Bengal, this ancient bell metal craft is practiced here. I would now like to request Mousumi Ghosh to come and felicitate all of us.
Ma'am, look. Thank you.
New Year to all of you. Hope you have a wonderful 2025.